Training camp is well and truly here. We have all the news notes to talk about and a little bit more on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 251 of the Purple Rain podcast. Daryl Smith episode, the Camila Correa, the Brendan Iambadejo, the Cornell Brown, Josh Ross episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you all for coming through to this episode on this lovely Friday Eve. We have real football to talk about. We have just a whole bunch of news and notes to talk about. It feels good rather than us pulling something out of our ears and kind of throwing it and trying to talk about it, trying to make predictions, assumptions. No, we actually have footage. We're seeing it, we're hearing about it. It's good. It's good to be this time in late July. But first and foremost, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Follow this guy over here on Instagram, on X at Sutton Def. Follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod and on X at simplyas10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. You can't tell, but I just used it. Literally right before I showered. Used the Manscaped, trimmed up the beard. It's warm out. I like the little amount of facial hairs I can. It'll be coming off soon, but let me just throw the guard on there. Lovely service, lovely product. Go on there, stack the card up. Code PRP, 20% off your whole order. Free international shipping. I'm sorry. It's the greatest deal in town. It really is. Can't stress it enough. But as I always do, Sutton. It's Thursday. How's your week been so far?
Week has been going great. I'm just happy that Ravens football is officially back. I'll just say that the talks are really kind of ramping up. I've been seeing like a lot of different takes on national media. We'll probably get into some a little bit later on the show here, but stick around. By the way, like the video, guys. If you're new here, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys know it helps us out a ton, especially right before the season starts. But anyways, as I was saying. The talks about the Ravens are kind of ramping up, and it's got me excited. That fire is kind of starting to rebuild inside of me. And, today I kind of had to catch myself, Alex, because I remember right after the AFC Championship game loss, what we were kind of saying, like we were sharing the same sentiments. We were saying, like, the regular season really doesn't matter. Like we know what we're going to do in the regular season. And it's not to take the regular season for granted, right? Because you have to do well. I mean, it's a daunting 17 game schedule, right? Like it's a lot, but for us Ravens fans, we've been dominating the regular season, under Lamar Jackson since he's been here, pretty much, since they injected him in 2018. So it's just kind of brought me back a little bit. It kind of reeled me in, right? I was just like, it's going to be a long season, right? We're going to be winning big games and kind of having to take it with a grain of salt, like, this is awesome, but we know what we really need. So just staying locked in. I think that's where the pressure kind of, I think the pressure is going to build as the season goes on. And that's just with every season. And I know I'm kind of like going on a tangent here just for my intro, but that's just kind of how I've been feeling. Those are my feelings with the Ravens right now. Like, I'm still excited, of course, for the regular season. Full speed ahead. Don't get me wrong, but I still do have in the back of my head, like, playoff time, we got to do some things differently. I'm hoping that additions like Derrick Henry and, a first round corner like Nate Wiggins and whoever else can help out with that. But, we'll see. We'll see. But before we get into any other Ravens talk, I want to bring up who's here in the live chat. Of course, we got our moderator, K-Dog, in the house, giving a shout out to the Manscaped, but more importantly, giving a shout out to the replay gang. So if you're not watching this episode of the Purple Rain podcast live, hello, welcome to our show. You are part of the hashtag replay gang. Make sure you leave all your comments, questions, concerns, whatever you got for us down below in the comment section. We would greatly appreciate that. And then Chike says, big up Brain Gang. Yoga is the best. Also, Justin Fields needs to be starting in Pittsburgh because he is their best shot at a Super Bowl. I actually made a video about that earlier today. I posted it on this very channel. I definitely think that Justin Fields, not to say that he necessarily deserves to start, but, if you're the Steelers organization, like, you got to put your future first, right? Like, there's no reason for you to be looking in the rearview mirror and saying like, oh, Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl winning quarterback from,
Yeah,
almost a decade ago. It's just right.
the
Like,
Obama administration.
what do you think about that?
I really can't disagree with you there. Like I said, he won his Super Bowl during the Obama administration. Joe Flacco just got a big contract, and now Joe Flacco has played about 15 different contracts since then. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think Russ is probably the better quarterback right now, but the fact Fields can extend plays, I feel like they don't have a receiver better than DJ Moore. But there are plays last year with the Bears where he wasn't throwing to just DJ Moore. It was a 2, 3, 4s, and they were dropping some crucial balls. Like there was a play against the Browns I saw. He rolls out, just puts it in the receiver's hands, and just drops. And it's like a 50-yard gain. I don't think a George Pickens drops it. I don't think a Calvin Austin drops it. I don't think a Van Jefferson drops it. I 100% agree with you there. Like if I'm the Steelers and I see Fields, I mean, the one throw he made today was unreal, fantastic throw. And he's playing against a really good defense in Pittsburgh. We know all about them. So if he really keeps showing out like this, 100% he should be their starter.
Yeah, definitely agree. And, again, I think that, and I think it's the perfect situation, like a perfect two quarterback situation for Justin Fields to be a starter, because you got a Russell Wilson where, if he's the backup, right, he's going to help and teach Justin Fields. Like I have no doubt in my mind that he would be that team player. Deep down inside of his soul, he might not want to, of course, just like the football player, the competitor in him may not want to do that. But Russell Wilson, we all know him to be a stand-up guy. So I think it would be the perfect situation for them to kind of put Justin Fields. Because you think about it, Justin Fields is 25 years old right now. Russell Wilson's 35, right? That's a decade difference. Justin Fields is in the precious years of his career right now where he needs to be on the football field, right? I could see if he was like a 22, 23-year-old kid fresh out of college, right? Maybe he's going to sit a year or two, but no, he's 25. These are the years where he needs to start building towards his prime. This is not the time for him to be sitting. So that was my point that I was trying to make. Hopefully we're talking about the Steelers here, like our arch rival, right? Like
right,
I'm not trying to.
We're the
right.
yellow we're the yellow podcast at this point, Yellow Rain.
Exactly. I wish Boz was here. Maybe he can watch this part of the show. We'll tell him to rewind once he gets in here, if he gets in here.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some Ravens talk finally, right?
Yeah.
We got our guy Dre in here. What's going on, Dre? Appreciate you for coming through. So getting into some training camp talk. Of course, there's been 2 practices since we last spoke here on this podcast. Alex, I know you had some notes from both days. Go ahead and let us know what you found from Tuesday's practice.
Yeah, so these are mainly from Twitter and from the Ravens website. I think Ryan Mink details these up. So just kind of, we don't get to see everything there. Even with the little videos we're shown. We got to rely on the beat writers. They do a fantastic job kind of letting us know. I wasn't even able to grab a pass for the training camp this year. They flew out that quick. I'm so upset about that. But this is from Tuesdays. I'm just going to go through it. Rashad Bateman followed a strong Monday, the rainy practice where he had those 2 incredible catches with another good day, including a juggling catch on a bomb down the sideline with Humphrey and Ardarius Washington close in coverage. Bateman showed off his shiftiness after a short catch over the middle when he cut back around Roquan Smith and burst up the field. Brandon Stevens broke up a pass intended for Bateman, went toe-to-toe with tight end Mark Andrews to force an incompletion, and had tight coverage on a throw in the end zone intended for Zay Flowers. Stevens has picked up where he left off last season. I'm going to remember that because I'm going to bring up a question. Outside linebacker David Ajabo flashed a nifty spin move to get pressure and possibly a sack. On the next play, he blew up a ram play where he shrugged off fullback Patrick Ricard to crash inside and thump Owen Wright. Shrugging off Patrick Ricard, David Ajabo. You have my interest. Your favorite player, Odafe Owe. He's setting up residence in the Ravens' backfield. He beat Ronnie Stanley around the edge for what would have been a sack. Head coach John Harbaugh said he had to talk to Owe about not getting too close to the quarterback. Trenton Simpson, once again, knockback guard Salah Amove Laulu on a screen pass to get to Justice Hill. Nate Wiggins flashed the advantage he has with arm length when he went over the back of Malik Cunningham and broke up a pass. Jalen Armour Davis broke up a pass intended for Rashad Bateman that was almost picked off by Arthur Millette. And Kyle Hamilton had a quick read on the outside swing pass to Derrick Henry and would have rocked the massive running back, drawing a yell of praise from inside linebacker Roquan Smith. Eddie Jackson also sniffed out a misdirection throw to Malik Cunningham in the flats. So that was Tuesday. A lot of to unpack there. I'm just going to start off first.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman's been our best receiver so far, is what it sounds like. And my hot take for that is because It's not Lamar Jackson, the quarterback. I think if he was back there, it'd be Zay Flowers. We'd be hearing a lot about. But it's crucial for them to really get that chemistry together because that's kind of the missing piece. Like from what I'm seeing now, he's making these catches over Marlon Humphrey, who this isn't the Marlon Humphrey of the past 2 years. Like he's making play after play this training camp, getting the interceptions out. He's not really used to getting. That's kind of a big takeaway there. And then I'm going to go to the defense as well. I mean, our defensive back, our cornerback 4, Arthur Millette, has like 3 or 4 picks. We're that stacked secondary wise. If we can stay healthy, it's going to be a really, really good year for those guys in the secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what we've been hearing so far, the defense, like you've been kind of mentioning, has been dominating so far. I mean, and that's kind of what we get in July, like early training camp. You normally get the defense who's coming out first because, I mean, just kind of naturally, right? For an offense to kind of instill its game plan, you kind of have to work against. You have to work against when you're playing a defense, when you're on offense, right? Like you have to work against somebody who's trying to stop you. And I think that's it takes a little bit longer to figure out than figuring out how to stop somebody else. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. But yeah, like it's just, and we normally see around like August, right? Like around when the games are about to start, the preseason games we see the offense start to pick up the pace a little bit. So I definitely expect things to turn around, but so far, a couple of standouts. You mentioned David Ojabo kind of shrugging off Patrick Ricard. Again, that has my interest, just like you said. I mean, that's something, and it's something to mention about Ojabo. This will be his second fully healthy season, I want to say.
Yeah, going into.
I don't think he missed. Yeah. Did he miss time last year? I don't think he did.
He played in the first 2 games, and then he was out for the year. Like they said, they said he possibly could have come back, but he opted for surgery.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking of somebody else, but no, look, Ojabo is a guy where, man, and now it's all coming back to me now. Ojabo is a guy where I can't, like, I loved what he was able to do, like especially coming out of college, and he made some big plays for us, especially. I remember in the Bengals game, I think late in the 2022 season, I want to say, he made some plays here and there, but just again, now I'm remembering why we are in complete disarray at the edge rusher position, because we're relying on guys like David Ojabo. And while it does sound promising that, he's making some plays in training camp, or at least showing some flashes here and there, it still gives me no confidence, right? And I feel like this is such like an underrated topic that nobody's really talking about. Like our edge rushing room, it's damn near non-existent. This is why I roll my eyes when I hear about Odafe Owe having residence in the backfield, because it's just like, where is it in game? All jokes aside, Alex, like where is it in the game? You said like he would have gotten a sack. You got Harbaugh going over to him and basically saying like, hey, don't get after the quarterback too much, right? Like don't do too much. Save it for the game. Listen. Somebody's got to replace those 13 sacks from Jadeveon Clowney last year.
9.5.
Or 9.5. I'm thinking of what's his name? Matabike. Yeah, but somebody's got to replace those sacks. Matabike is probably going to regress. I don't expect him to get quite that many sacks next year, but we're in trouble, man. I'll say that.
Yeah, the small beckoning of hope I have is I saw that a couple of the guys, Tavius Robinson, I think a couple others, went down there and trained with Matabike, what he did last year, and he went again this year. Then Dr. Rush as well, we have him, which has kind of been like a low-key, not talked about coach, like Jeremiah says, which I'm completely fine with that. I mean, don't talk about him. If we're going to sit there and go from middle-of-the-pack sacks to leading the league in sacks, I'm cool with that 100%, and you just don't want to talk about him. But yeah, we're definitely just kind of putting a lot of hope and potential, and that can be a boom or bust. We've seen it work for us, and we've seen it not work for us. We've seen it not working the line, not working on the receiver position as well. But yeah, I mean, Kyle Van Noy, is he going to repeat what he did last year? I don't know. I don't think he'll put the same sacks up when he missed the first 4 games. He wasn't with us. Matabike, expecting him to get 13 sacks is crazy. Even with the money he's making, he's going to draw a lot more attention. That's where I'm looking at guys like Travis Jones, who I think if you can get me 3.5, 4 sacks this year, I'm really happy with that. And I'm looking at a guy like Broderick Washington. You got extended. Didn't have the best year last year. Have a bounce back year. So who's going to be that guy to step up? And, we picked up your 5th year for a reason. I want to see double digit, but a 7 to 8 sack year maybe 8.5. It really would do wonders for him and this team. And Zach Gore, this is why he got the promotion. Mike McDonald did it last year. We were getting sacks. I think our Darius Washington had a sack in week 1. We were getting sacks from everybody last year. Trenton Simpson, is he going to replicate the 5.5, 6 sacks Patrick Queen had? I don't know. But that's why, Zach Gore got that promotion. So let's see what he can do. But yeah, I'm right there with you. A little worried about it. I don't expect it to be number 1 in sacks again next year. Top 10, though. Maybe top 7. We still got some dogs in that line.
Yeah, we do. And I mean, you bring up guys like Travis Jones, Broderick Washington. Of course, there's still Justin Madubuike, who just got number 64 on the top 100 list. I want to say something like
deserved.
that. Well deserved. So big shout out to Justin Madubuike for that.
A little low.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they have ahead of him. But I'm just happy for him that he broke that list. Because I remember him coming out of college. Like, we were both high on that guy. Like So, but no, it's kind of troubling for me because again, going up against a lot of these high octane quarterbacks that we're going to be facing in the in the regular season, because we do have the hardest schedule out of pretty much anybody. We're going to need guys who can get after the quarterback, and I don't really see anybody on the outside who can do it. Like I said, on the inside, there's a lot of guys like the guys I just mentioned who can control the line of scrimmage, and I think will be good against the run. But against the pass and especially these high pressure situations, late game, close games, it's hard to trust our ability to get home. It is, and in years past, a couple years past, we've had our closers. Those were our vets. That was our Jadeveon Clowney. That was our Justin Houston. Guys like that. So I'm still kind of waiting to see what that looks like. Jeremiah says here, when is the last time you remember the defense not being good for any reason than I-words? You have a fair point, Jeremiah.
That's a good point.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. But I'm really talking about like situationally at this point, because we know that the Ravens are going to be good in general. But when it comes down to it, right, and we need a stop against a Patrick Mahomes, when we need a stop against, I can say a Kenny Pickett. I know he's not playing, but like crazier things have happened. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, the whole 9, right? Yeah. When we need a stop against any of these guys, who is going to be able to put the game away, put the game on ice, like a Myles Garrett could, like a TJ Watt could, like a Trey Hendrickson could. Yep. By the way, all in our division. Like, that's what I'm saying.
And I think about that. Last year, I think of a drive, to maybe put them ahead or tie the game, and Mike McDonald dropped an Arthur Millette nickel blitz, and he got to Justin Herbert and got him on 4th down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that where I think before last year, we hadn't had a 10-sack player since Terrell Suggs. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I think it was in 2017 he had 10 sacks. So from 2017 to 2023, not one of our players had 10 sacks. We have, I think, 2 guys last year with 10 sacks, possibly. I think. I don't know how many KVN had, but I definitely know, Madubuike had 13. But, I'm right there with you. When it is a 3rd down, and we saw it in the AFC Championship game, Mahomes makes this fucking insane throw to Travis Kelce. We couldn't get him down. He's buying time in the backfield, and he picks us apart. And it's stuff like that. And low-key, sometimes I feel that this team can go ghost in what we did really well in the regular season, and we just forget it in the postseason. But that's all aspects. But where are we gonna replicate them? And when I'm thinking about the defense, when it hasn't been good since with the I-word, I mean that's a good point. But I don't want us to rely on August signings. We had to rely on Justin Houston, who we signed late in the year a couple of years ago. I want us to develop somebody. Like you said, a Myles Garrett, a TJ Watt, a Micah Parsons. I want us to develop them. Oweh was a 1st-round pick. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to be developed. And I'm not asking you to be an elite edge rusher, but a damn good one. So that's can I get that strip sack where we're up by 3 points in the 4th quarter, and that gives the offense the ball back, and we score a touchdown. Now it's a 10-point lead and ices the game. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I want.
Yeah, because it really feels like we have a guy on all other levels of the defense, right? So the middle part of the defense, Roquan Smith. The secondary, Kyle Hamilton, or take your pick, right? But on that defensive line, of course, there's Justin Madubuike, who's in the middle. But again, he's an interior rusher. I mean, a lot easier to kind of plug those guys up, which should make for more room on the outside, on the edge. And those guys, we'll see who kind of jumps out the gate I'd say in the first 4 weeks, it'll be very, very interesting to assess our edge rushing room
Yeah.
after the first 4 weeks of the season. And with all the quarterbacks we face, I mean, Patrick Mahomes week one. Then I think we've got Dallas and Buffalo. So Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, um, Josh Allen. Then I think we have Cincinnati, right? Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
Yep.
mean, come on, man. Come on. We got four like Pro Bowl, like all pro quarterbacks, all pro level quarterbacks, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Who's going to step up and get these guys on the ground, especially
Right.
some of those more mobile guys? So
Right.
we'll see what it looks like after the first four. Yeah, but interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to go through, our edge rushers right now, which I pulled up our depth chart. Odafe Owe, David Ajabo, Malik Ham, Kyle Van Noy, Adisa Isaac, Tavius Robinson.
Mm.
Adisa Isaac isn't even, practicing right
Yeah.
now.
Do we know why?
I think it's TJ Tampa with the hernia. Let me see. I don't know what the Adisa Isaac is off the top of my head. I'm pulling it up right now.
All right. Let's see. Ojabo 6 or 7 sacks. Tavius Robinson 5. Malik Ham 4 or
Isaac has a
5.
tweaked hamstring, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hammy.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Dre, yeah. Hopefully one of the young dudes does step up in this edge rushing room. That would be awesome. Jeremiah also brought up coverage. Speaking of coverage,
Yes.
I believe it was yesterday in the Ravens training camp where the defense had a crazy amount of interceptions, 6 interceptions total. Let me just kind of go through them here. Marcus Williams had a pick 6 on Josh Johnson's first pass of the day. Marlon Humphrey had 2 picks, one on LJ and one on Josh Johnson. Kyle Hamilton had one as well. Some say he was out of bounds, though. Mullen had 2. One was negated by defensive pass interference, and then Jalen Armour Davis picked off Josh Johnson during red zone drill. So defense just kind of flying all over the place. Arthur Millette had a crazy pick. It was wild. I mean, he got up. The vertical on that one was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Arthur Millette has been making plays. I think he's really kind of rejuvenated his career, like other guys on defense have with the Ravens. So that's really cool to see. But the defense, again, the secondary, especially, it might be a no-fly zone this year, Alex. Like it's if Nate Wiggins can be, I don't even. If he lives up to expectations, I'll just say that if Nate Wiggins lives up to expectations, this secondary is going to be impenetrable. Like you think about it, who's covering the number one guy nowadays?
Well, I don't know because in the Marlin presser he said they've had conversations where he could be a nickel.
So he's going to be in the slot. Well, if they're putting him over the slot receiver or shading the tight end or whatever, then
it depends the build. Maybe if it's a physical number one, I think Marlon will be on it. But we saw Stevens, go head to head with Jamar, Ridley.
What if it's an AJ Brown?
Marlon.
I
think Marlon.
What about CD Lamb?
Ooh, he's a speed. See, I don't know.
Is that where a Nate Wiggins would shine? Is that what we're grooming him for? Those type of receivers, a Justin Jefferson, a CD Lamb?
In the future, yes. I hope not in year one we don't throw Nate Wiggins on a CD Lamb. Unless it's a blowout and we're just we just throw him in there to see what happens. But I think you don't draft a guy in the first round for him to sit there and cover twos. You're supposed to be a lockdown guy. So I think in the future, 100%.
It would be cool to see. I mentioned on Twitter the other day, I was like, Nate Wiggins versus George Pickens, like that matchup would be. Can you imagine just the fanfare? Like they would give the fans what they want to see. They would be physical. They would be talking to each other. There'd probably be a lot of flags involved, but man, that would be a hell of a matchup. But in time, right?
Yeah, Wiggins has that Raven attitude, the nastiness. Like he'll make a play and let you know. That's what I like about him.
And Pickens has the same attitude.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, a TJ Tampa as well, who's in the PUP, but he's a big physical dude, can lay the wood. I mean, I would love to see, him against some of these guys when he is healthy, because he isn't a fourth round guy, second round talent there. I'm really excited for him. I just hope he can come back and really show off in the preseason, because I mean, you look at this depth. I'm just gonna talk about it. I have the depth chart up. Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, Brandon Stevens, TJ Tampa, Arthur Millette, Jalen Armour Davis, Pepe Williams. Hell, even
Yeah.
Trayvon Mullen making a couple of plays, And then,
Yep.
okay, we have Washington who can play in the nickel. We have Darrell Worley back there as well, who's made a couple of plays. He made a play on C. Higgins, made a great play a couple years ago with Jamar Chase. Eddie Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams when he's playing with two arms. Like Snoozy Kane, who we drafted. It's hell, Bo Braid, who I know can play from this Big Ten play. Like it's going to be really interesting to watch in the preseason, because there's a lot of talent, but just only so
Oh,
many
ton of
roster
talent.
spots.
Yeah, ton of talent, man. A couple other things that we can cover from Tuesdays and Wednesdays training camp. So we've heard as well, there's been kind of remnants coming out of the castle that Daniel Fa'alele is showing
Mm,
potential at right guard. So, just like we're talking about, we may potentially be in trouble at the edge rusher spot if nobody steps up. On the flip side of things, that offensive line is going to look like a little patchwork job, at least early in the season. I'm going to let you know
mhm.
that now. I think that they will kind of mesh and gel together. There's going to be some rookie mistakes from whatever rookie they put out there, but we'll see. But Daniel Fa'alele showing potential at that right guard. I like him there. He's
Yeah.
a mountain of a man. You know what I mean? Like he made some good plays last season. Like if you go
He did.
back and watch some of the tape, like he's actually been slowly progressing, right? And like I'll take slow progress over no progress any day, you know.
Mhm.
But I like him at this right guard spot. At least give him a chance there. I say put Roger Rosengarten right next to him at right tackle. That right side might be a little bit shaky to start off the season. I'll admit that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But I'm willing to risk that if it means that in the long run they end up being working in tandem, really well together.
Yeah, and you would hope that they have a couple of games of preseason as well to work together. You
Yeah.
have to think that we're going to be, experimenting. And I don't expect Stanley to play in the preseason, but Rosengarten, a Falele at right guard, hell, even throw him at tackle in the third and fourth quarters, see what he can give you. That's what the preseason is for. If he messes up, I mean, it counts, but it doesn't really count in the grand scheme of things. You'll know he's not going to be set at right tackle with him at the right guard. But it's good to hear that he is progressing. That was my biggest takeaway there. And then that kind of leaves me like, okay, Ben Cleveland was drafted in the third round as a guard. Like I'm disappointed. Like
Yeah.
that was your job. Like that was right guard. I thought was his, to lose. I mean, maybe he
Yeah.
wins the left guard spot. I don't know. Maybe he's supposed to be there. I don't know. But I would love for him, to take that spot, because there's a hell of a talent there. If you get drafted in the third round. But I just want this line to be as good as possible. And even Makari, where is he going to play? Could he be the other guard? Could he be the tackle? We don't know.
Ooh. I think
Like
somebody would have to be playing really badly for Makari to get plugged in at tackle from like,
I
week one. That would be kind of crazy.
yeah.
But here's one thing that Dre brings up here. I was also going to mention this. He says, I expect Voorhees to be really, I definitely think he gets one of those guard spots. Okay, so you think Voorhees is going to get the probably the left guard spot or
Okay.
the right guard spot? I'm thinking left, right?
Left.
So
Left.
it's between Andrew Voorhees and Ben Cleveland. And I'll tell you this, if the Ravens coaches think that, Andrew Voorhees is more ready to go than Ben Cleveland, then I've got a lot of faith in Andrew Voorhees, because that's saying something. Because kind of like Daniel Fa'alele, Ben Cleveland hasn't had his best time here with the Ravens. I'll admit that, but
No.
he also has he's put good things on tape, but yeah, with him it is more so like 50-50, a little bit more like 60-40, to be honest with you. 60% bad, 40% good, I would say. But no, I still think that if Andrew Voorhees can kind of beat him out in camp in preseason, then give him the spot, give him the nod, man. Because again, I like Voorhees. I think the guy from our last show, I can't remember who it was, he was saying that he was a USC fan and Voorhees wasn't that good or something like that. But I'm putting some faith in him, man. I'm putting some faith in
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed in Cleveland. He's been
Yeah.
here for 3 years. Brandon Stevens was like 9 picks after him, and Stevens to me was a snubbed all pro. So He came in, I mean, and the thing with Stevens, he went from running back to safety to defensive back, so he switched positions 3 times, and he's
Yeah,
made this crazy strides. And like I know it's completely different positions, but I'm just looking at it from a bigger picture. Like I want to see get a starting position, and he just consistency. Like you said, there will be really good plays from him, and then it's just him getting beat or him kind of just not know what the
yeah,
hell to do. And that's just been the Ben Cleveland problem. And I hope he
yeah,
takes over that guard position because it makes Lamar's life easier and it makes our lives easier because we don't have to worry about who's going to be our starting line, who's our starting five this week. Are they going to gel together or are they not?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and one thing
Cleveland was. Yeah,
The one thing I'll trust is that the Ravens can hit in the later rounds on linemen. We have a fantastic history of doing it, and then they'll play for us 4 or 5 years, much like our edge rushers, and they'll go to other teams to get a big contract. So I'm banking when we have to hit on one of these guys. I'm hoping maybe Voorhees is that guy.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully, um, and you bring up a good point. We do tend to develop our offensive linemen pretty well, at least most of the time. We've got a great offensive line coach. Got a lot of respect for old Joe. Now here's my thing, right? I think that Ben Cleveland, right? You mentioned why you're so kind of disappointed in him. I agree, and I think it was because when we first drafted Ben Cleveland, like his whole I guess you could say like aura, if you will, was
Mhm.
like he was just like this mountain of a man. He was gonna be a mover of men. He was just you weren't getting through to him, right? He was gonna move guys off of their spot. He was gonna be really good, but that just never panned out, and that's just kind of how it is sometimes. But I'm still rooting for the guy. Hopefully,
Yeah,
if he beats out Andrew Voorhees for the spot, it's tryouts. It's literally tryouts right now for that offensive line. Like that's like one of the only places on our roster that's totally not solidified. We talked about the edge rushers a little while ago, but I think that there's definitely more questions right now on the offensive line and like who's starting. Okay,
yeah.
who's going to be out there week one at right tackle, at right guard, at left guard. That's a lot of different spots. That's that's 3 out of the 5 spots right there. I mean, it's just there's a lot to worry about. So
One thing I don't want to see us doing is that, knock on wood, one of our tackles is playing so poorly to the point we have to throw Patrick Ricard on there to be kind of like a sixth lineman and help him out. So we were doing
yeah,
that, when Villanueva was in there, when we had just makeshift lines. I don't want to see that again because that means, to me, we're failing. We have to rely on our fullback to help out on the line, which he can do that, but it just got to the point where we needed him to be that guy because they were just getting pressure from that one side.
well, I think that Patrick Ricard, naturally, he's going to get a lot of work this season, especially with the addition of a Derrick Henry, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that, and they've already talked about that. We've seen plays in training camp so far where there's Derrick Henry running behind Patrick Ricard, and we talked about this a
Yeah.
little bit on the last episode too. That's going to be a huge part of, maybe not a huge part, but that's going to be a good portion of Todd Monken's game plan. At least I project it will be, because it just makes sense, right? I mean, there's just too much physicality when you put Patrick Ricard in front of a Derrick Henry, like physical on top of physical. Guys, they're going to be chopping down guys like trees, like.
Yeah.
So we'll see that a lot, but you're right though. I definitely agree with you. I hope that we don't have to run like these heavier packages where we got a bunch of guys in the line of scrimmage and we can kind of be a little bit more fluid with our offense because our offensive line is competent enough to allow it.
You bring up a heavy package. Can I just paint a picture for you? We're at the goal line, maybe
Sure.
2 yard line. We maybe take out Lamar Jackson, maybe throw in Derrick Henry at a direct snap. Thank you very much, Jessica. We, we
Yes.
we throw a Derrick Henry at QB for a direct snap, and maybe let's say you have it's the line we were talking about. Let's say it's Voorhees and Cleveland at guard, Stanley Rosengarten your tackles, Linderbaum your center. You throw a Falele or a Makari as your sixth lineman, and you have a Patrick Ricard lined up next to Derrick Henry. Have fun with that. That's a whole lot of
Yeah.
meat you have to block. And Derrick Henry, he's getting the ball from the shotgun and just running at you full speed.
Yeah.
And he can jump over the line. We've seen him do it before. Or here's maybe my hot take. Derrick Henry will throw a touchdown pass this year. He will throw one.
Ooh.
He will throw one.
I agree. I mean,
He
I
will.
agree. I think that we probably won't see that until like maybe the playoffs, to be honest with you. Like we won't break that out until like later in the season. I don't think we do it early. But
Oh no.
yeah, like I can see it. I thought about that too, Alex. I mean, he might have a couple of them. You never know. because there's just so many options. Like in Tennessee, it was either Derrick Henry or Tannehill's going to throw it, right? And in Baltimore, it's either Lamar can throw it, he can keep it, or he can hand it to Derrick Henry. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's just there's too many things for the defense to worry about at once, and I think that'll open up more opportunities to kind of knock teams completely off balance with a play like that. You know, it surely happened to us a few times, but so I definitely think that we could work as make it work as well.
Oh, we started with that, and even in the red zone too, you got to worry about a Andrews, a Likely. I mean, because Likely, like we talked about, is established as a red zone target now. He had the touchdown in the playoffs. I mean, that's one more touchdown than Mark Andrews has in the playoff. I hate to say it. I do hate to say it. Love you, Mark, but those two together in the red zone will be a fun duo of the tight ends, and then just add Derrick Henry. Just
Yeah.
try to stop it, I guess. Todd Monken, just dial it up, get in your bag.
Yeah, and Todd Monken, he was in his bag last season. Like one of the best offenses in the league, one of the best defenses in the league too, of course. Shout out to Mike McDonald again. But yeah, it really just comes down to again, Alex. I mean, in the playoffs, like, and that's where I kind of shift my focus to John Harbaugh, right?
Yeah.
Because in the playoffs, John, you have won a Super Bowl. You know what it takes. You know, like, and I know you trust your coordinators. You have a lot of respect for your coordinators. You revere them greatly. That's fine. But 6 rushing attempts in the AFC Championship game, I'm not putting that on the offensive coordinator. I'm not putting that on him. I'm putting that on you. I
Yep.
am. I'm sorry to bring this back up again. I'm sorry that I have to bring it back up again. But
It's
we
okay.
just keep talking about how great the roster is and how is this off? How is anybody going to stop this offense? And I just keep thinking back again and again to the AFC Championship game. And of course, there's a lot that happened in the game more than just the Ravens only giving the ball to running back 6 times. There's a lot of discipline issues and
Yeah.
other things going on as well. But I don't know, man. Harbaugh, you really got to step up and kind of take the reins, especially in the playoffs this season. Make sure your team sticks to their identity, and I think we can go all the way.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into stopping teams, but I have been doing my not scouting, just my dip in the toes of looking at other teams training camp stuff, and
Yeah.
the Chiefs offense scares me a little bit. I'm not just gonna lie to
Mm.
you.
What about it? What did you see?
Hollywood's been making plays. Rasheed Rice looks good, and Xavier Worthy isn't even practicing. And when he was practicing, Mahomes made a fantastic play, and Worthy beat their whole defense. And it's just him rolling out and the different arm angles he throws the passes at. And Kelsey still looks really good.
Yeah.
Kelsey hasn't regressed. Like genuinely, he's one of the few players where like he just gets better with age. He knows the soft spots in the zone. He knows where to be. The one thing that's kind of looking good for me is their defense. To me, I think it's regressed. I do think I know it's a training camp, but on paper it's regressed. And safety wise, they're a little banged up, and corner wise, they just aren't as strong as they were. So they need the way that we're hoping Owe to step up to be that elite edge rusher. I think they're hoping McDuffie to be that elite corner.
Yeah.
So that's to me like week one. It's I hope we test their secondary because that can be the way you win the game. Bateman
But
Zay,
but 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 here's my thing though, Alex. Like we just came out of an AFC Championship game where we lost to them for throwing too much. So
yeah,
like,
you're
what do you
right.
think? What do you think we should do? You know what I mean?
Oh, you're obviously gonna run it, but you're gonna need more big plays through the air. We
Yeah.
can't have when I say like I don't mean 5 yard passes when it's third and 10. Like I'm talking about 15, 20. The stuff we were hitting against the Texans. That's what I'm talking more of. And Lamar didn't have the best game statistically passing wise, but he was efficient. He was hitting those guys. So that's what I'm looking at. Secondary wise. Not I don't expect him over 300 because that's not. I don't think you going into there and trying to outthrow them is just you're going to lose the game. But
Yeah, I
on the
think we're
third
gonna
and
have to run early to try to take the crowd out of the game. You know, stay
yep,
on the field as much as
yep,
possible, build up the time of possession, keep Mahomes off the field. That'll keep the crowd kind of, the electricity. It'll keep it down, right, in the
frustrate them.
stadium. Yeah, it'll
Frustrate the
frustrate them,
crowd.
right?
That's the biggest thing. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, it's like, can we just stop them from running? Like, just
Right.
like we've been there, like playing Derrick Henry. I've been like, well, can't you just stop him? That was
Can't
me in
you just?
2019. Can't you stop him? But you can, and like it just frustrates you, and that's why I think we lost in 2019. Like the energy was sucked out the stadium after
Yeah.
they went up 14-0. Like
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, it's second and 9, and there he goes. It's third and 1.
Yep.
That just sucks. You stop him on first down. You think you have him this drive. He breaks off a big run on second down. Now he's on our side.
Now he's
I
on
don't,
our
I don't know what to
side.
deal with
Yeah.
that.
With our rushing attack, man. It's gonna be. When you think about it, like we should really dominate time of possession this season.
Oh yeah,
Like dominate, like with how good our defense is, with how well they're able to force turnovers for one, and then also three and out, just getting teams to punt the ball right back to us, and we're just running the
yep,
ball all over them, just kind of leaning on teams again, like I used to say, right here on this very podcast. Like we used to lean on teams a little bit more, and that was more so due to the, kind of like the Greg Roman offense, and I think that we did a good amount of it last year too. But I think that we need to kind of rely on that a little bit more in the playoffs. Like yeah, we're running football team first. Yeah, if it's working, then keep doing it. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, we got Boz in here and Roosh. What's going on, Roosh?
The
What's
mods
going
are
on,
here.
Mod Boz? Both moderators here in the chat. Shout out to them. Says, "Yo, Rain Gang, better late than never." Yo,
What's going
Boz, we were
on?
talking about your Steelers in the beginning of the episode,
Right in
so
the
you might have to
beginning.
rewind. You might have to rewind.
Right
We
in the
talked about
beginning.
your boy Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, so make sure you check that out, brother. Thank you for coming through, though. All right. So, also a couple other things of note from the training camps:
Yeah.
false starts on the offensive line. Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, Kyle Phoenix, Kyle P. Barber on Twitter, he's been kind of following these. So shout out to him. Basically, when there's a false start in training camp, a player has to run a lap around the field, whoever committed the penalty. Today, well, yesterday, it was Josh Jones, Ben Cleveland, and Daniel Fa'alele. Again, these are things that, of course, you clean up throughout training camp, right? And of course,
Yeah.
it's going to happen in the season. It's We're just talking about it here just to kind of give you the information. But yeah, other pieces of news.
Yeah. I want to go back to what Dre said earlier in
Sure.
the stream. He was talking about the quarterback position. Without Lamar there, it's I mean even when he was there the first day, it wasn't good. He's sick still. That was pretty evident. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
dealing with,
Yeah.
but it was good he was out there. I know they said he had to go in early with humidity. Probably wasn't feeling the best. But you have Josh Johnson. You have two rookies. You have a UDFA and Emory Jones who played for a couple different schools, and then you have Devin Leary who played at Kentucky.
Right.
I was expecting this. I wasn't expecting there to be a lot of boomy here because you're throwing the number one ranked defense from last year at these guys. You know, like
It's true. Yeah.
what more do you expect? You know,
Right. What can they
especially
do?
at a rookie rookie guys. I feel bad for them. I really feel bad for Leary and Emory Jones because you have Matty Bigot coming at you. You have all these guys. You have Roquan Smith probably yelling at you right across the line of scrimmage. You know, it's like I was just in freaking whatever 300 class, a couple months ago, and now I'm here with Roquan Smith, the $100 million man, screaming at me saying, take my life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I need Lamar out there as soon as possible and healthy. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And I do still kind of raise the question. It concerns me, Lamar's health a little bit. Like he's sick a lot, especially for like a young guy who is a professional athlete who, he's in great shape. Normally people who are athletic, they work out a whole bunch. They don't really get sick all that much, but Lamar seems to get sick a bunch. And I'm not happy that he's sick. I'm happy that
No.
he's kind of getting over it, but it's a good thing that this, is not happening during the season, right? Like
Yeah.
get it out of the way now because this is like an annual thing. He's got like the stomach bug or whatever. We hope it's not serious. We hope it's not anything, you know, serious. But like it's just yeah.
It's
The
the oxtail pizza.
the oxtail pizza it's hard for him to beat the allegations sometimes. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just like,
Like
bro, yeah.
get some immunity shots.
Get some
Get some
immunity
ginger.
shots. Exactly. I take them
Them
every
things
day.
do. They
They're
are doing
great.
wonders. Like
Yes.
the ginger ones aren't the best, but I can deal with it. But I rarely
Yeah.
get sick anymore. I feel good, and most of them really don't taste bad. So Lamar, if
Exactly.
you need me to get you some, please, I will happily do that for you. Just
Yeah.
let me get the credit card. I'll go stock up for every week.
Yep.
And then my
Yep.
gift to you, what you're paying for. But I'll run your errands. But yeah, I
Yeah.
need you to be healthy.
Absolutely, man. But I mean, yeah, and again, I think he got out there. He probably still knew he wasn't ready. They probably knew he wasn't ready, but they wanted to get him out there and maybe just get a sweat going, right? Sometimes you got to sweat these things out, and that's probably what he wanted to do too. So he stayed out there for an hour. The heat probably started to get to him a little bit, so he had to go inside. I think it's all precautionary. Next week, I expect to see him a little bit more. Again, we don't know what his condition is, so to say, but the Ravens aren't making it seem like it's a serious thing, and neither is Lamar Jackson, right?
No.
So we'll continue to monitor that. Simply Lamar's dietitian.
No, no, just I was like him. I'll get sick all the time. I got sick of it. I was hated being sick every single freaking month. Awful.
Yeah, yeah. It sucks. It sucks. All right, go ahead and drop your questions down below in the chat. Whatever you got for us. It could be about Ravens football. It could be about other teams in the league. It could be about other sports. It could be about
UFC.
not sports. It could be about anything. It could be about
Yeah.
anything. But yeah, go ahead and drop your questions down below in the chat right now. And if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, thank you so much for joining this episode of the show. Make sure you like the video if you have not already, and leave a comment down below with your question, because we like to get to those as well. You mentioned UFC though, Alex.
Yeah, I want to
There
start off with
is
something
a
else
link
real
card.
quick. Just
Oh,
real
okay,
quick.
okay.
USA Germany the other day. All right.
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick. I have a bone to pick with this team.
Okay.
Why are we depending on LeBron James to be the closer in these games? This man is how old? I have no problem with it, but I'm like, I want to see somebody else, because I'm like, the magic can't last forever. All right, I want to see somebody else step up, and Germany is a good team basketball wise.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, I'm like, he's not gonna be around forever. USA, who else gonna step up? And Tatum, you got that ring. I want to see it, but I'll be looking forward to that at the Olympics. Who else steps up and helps out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there should be somebody else who's kind of like stepping up and taking the reins from LeBron James, especially at this point. I mean, the guy will be 40 years old next year.
Yeah.
And you've got these other guys like you said, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards. Like, somebody has got to be the guy and step up. But I think the problem is it's just a different generation. It's just a different culture, right? LeBron is from a totally different generation of basketball, like where I think it was more about the team and less about the individual. Nowadays, it's more about the individual, right? That's why you don't see guys playing hard in all-star games or Pro Bowls for that matter, because they're worried about messing up their contract or messing up whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I think that LeBron is truly cut from a different cloth. He's not the best player in the world right now, but I think that he has the most experience playing on a team like that that's just basically star-studded, because all those other guys are used to being the guy on their team. So like, if you're an Anthony Edwards and there's 30 seconds left in the game, you're going to think twice about taking the last shot, because you see Stephen Curry's right there, and then LeBron James is right there, and then Jason Tatum, who just won the NBA Finals, is standing next to you right here. You're going to second guess. LeBron James, he knows how to kind of work in a team that has all these stars and kind of have them all play off of him. So I think that that's what we'll benefit from that come this, when the Olympics actually start. But I'm excited to see it, man. LeBron James, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was doing it on both ends of the floor, going through tough buckets and then playing defense as well, steals, rebounds. It was crazy to see. I didn't think we were in 2024 for a second, just watching.
I know. It was cool. It kind of brought me back a little bit. That was what I liked about it. It reminded me of the old days, the good old days. All right. So let's see. You brought up UFC, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Boz brings it up here too. Says we need the UFC. Like, okay.
You posted it.
I did.
Posted the short.
I did.
Boz.
I did. I posted on the short. I talked about it, and I think an episode last week or something like that. But here's the thing, Alex. So I kind of flip-flopped my picks a little bit on one of the fights. So I don't know if you remember, but when we talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago, or whenever it was, a week ago, I had picked, I think I picked Bobby Green over Patty Pimblett.
Mm-hmm.
But in the short, I switched it up, and I
Mm-hmm.
picked Patty Pimblett over Bobby Green. And, my reasoning was I went back and I was thinking about it. And I was like, this is probably going to be an ugly fight, but I could see the UFC giving the nod to Patty Pimblett because of his record. I believe he only has like one loss or maybe two losses, something like that. And they really want to push this guy. They really want to push Patty Pimblett. What's his name? Bobby Green. He's a journeyman. He's like got 30 wins, like 15 losses or something like that. He's a journeyman. They can afford to give him a decision loss. If it comes down to a decision, I could see the UFC giving Patty Pimblett the nod, especially if it was remotely close. So I'm switching my pick to Patty Pimblett for this one officially. So Boz, here's my parlay. I got Patty Pimblett by decision. and then I've got Tom Aspinall by TKO/KO, and then I've got Leon Edwards by decision. So
Now,
those are my picks. Yeah.
now, Boz, this has come from Sutton. If you want to get a little risky, I know you love a risk. He said a first round knockout for Aspinall. If you really want to get
Yes.
risky,
Yes.
maybe half a unit. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good one too. I'm thinking about putting some money down on that, a half a unit or maybe even a full unit on a first round knockout for Tom Aspinall. Because here's the thing, guys. Like if you haven't watched these guys fight, well, here let me set the stage. Tom Aspinall is fighting Curtis Blades this weekend. Curtis Blades is known as primarily a wrestler. He's a huge, humongous dude. He's like 6'5", something like 6'4", 6'5". Huge dude. These are heavyweights, by the way. Tom Aspinall, he's also big in his own regard too. But Tom Aspinall is a lot better with his hands. He's a lot faster too. Every fight starts on the feet. And I think that Tom Aspinall, there's gonna be a little bit of a feeling out process, right? And then they're gonna have a couple exchanges. And in those exchanges, I think that Tom Aspinall will be quick enough to clip Curtis Blades. And once he clips him, Tom Aspinall is the type of guy, he smells blood, he's going after it. He's like a shark in the water. So I think he finishes him in the first round, kind of similar to how he did with Sergey Pavlovich. If you haven't seen that fight, go back and watch Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. That's like a perfect example of what I think is going to happen this Saturday when he fights Curtis Blades. But yeah, I got Tom Aspinall, and like Alex said, first round knockout.
Crazy. I hope it's not one of the. Well, kind of do hope it's one of those nights for the fighters, but where it's like it's just a first round knockout kind of night. There's always that one,
Well,
it feels
see,
like that.
it might be. Here's the thing. I forgot about this, Alex. So today they had the press conference, right, where they're talking. They have all the fighters there, and Dana White's in the middle, kind of, directing the show, and they got the reporters asking them questions. So I think halfway through the press conference, something comes up about the fighter bonus. At every
Mhm.
pay-per-view, whoever has like the performance of the night, whoever has like the best knockout or best performance, they get a $50,000 bonus, right? Which doesn't seem like a lot of money when you're talking professional sports, right? But for these guys, this is a lot of money, and for us, of course, it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
so normally it's 50K, but Dana basically said on stage, he said this weekend it's 100K, so he's doubling it. And
Yeah.
everybody on stage, I'm talking Tom Aspinall, Patty, Bobby Green, Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad, they were all like going crazy. Not going crazy, but they were excited, like visibly excited, like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. So I definitely expect these guys to come with it this weekend. You do not want to miss this weekend's UFC card.
Yeah, and then I saw that some of the guys they also hired like nutritionists, with their sleep schedule, because like we talked about, it's going to be starting at 3 o'clock, I think their time, local time, which is insane. So the main card, so
Yeah.
it won't be ending until like maybe 5:36 a.m. for them, which is you got to kind of plan out when you're sleeping and training and all that, which is it's just crazy to think about. So
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, that is the UFC parlay. Best of luck to everyone.
best of luck.
Let me see. Jeremiah says, "Are any free agent quarterbacks other than Tannehill need a job? Who is out there right now? I haven't looked at that in a
It's
minute.
stinky. It's stinky. Trevor Simeon. And maybe we can get Teddy Bridgewater out of retirement. He's coaching high school right now. I don't think he wants to come out.
He's good. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer, Blaine Gabbert, AJ McCarron, XFL legend, Matt Barkley, Garrett Gilbert, and that's really all you got.
I used to like Garrett Gilbert when he was playing in the XFL. He was pretty good. He was pretty good. But or was it the AAF?
I think AAF.
I think it was the AAF he was in. He was in the AAF.
But
yeah.
Dre brings up a good point. I'm hoping the Browns cut Huntley. I'm looking at what the Browns do because they have DTR as well. They're going to cut either DTR or Huntley, or maybe both, because they also have Jameis Winston as a backup. So I'm not sure what's going to go on there, but one of those guys is not going to make the team, or they can cut them, throw on the practice squad. We can steal them, something like that. I will be looking at what the Browns do with their quarterbacks.
So either one of those guys you'd be fine with, DTR or Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, DTR didn't really look the best, but we made a UDFA and Huntley look serviceable to where he got a contract from a different team.
Yeah, he's played in multiple playoff games too. Which
Pro Bowler.
To think about. Yeah,
Respect him.
Respect him for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I did not know that they had that many quarterbacks on their roster, and yeah, I'm gonna be paying a lot closer attention to that now because it would be interesting if they cut Huntley and we had a reunion with him. I just tweeted literally the other day. I was like, I miss Tyler Huntley. Like it was just great having him
Vibes.
right there. Right there. He could kind of produce in similar ways to Lamar Jackson. Kind of bonded or had a little bit better chemistry with some of the receivers. So you know, I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do.
Yeah. Boss says they should cut Watson. Yeah, I'm interested to see how he performs this year. Considering we ended his season last year, but he played really well against us that second half and beat us. I think he was perfect passing. Yeah, just the Browns are a weird team. They restructured Amari Cooper. He's making good money this year. You go and get Jerry Jeudy. They've obviously been able to draft and develop receivers.
Yeah.
Obviously, still have Javen Njoku, but you let Joe Flacco walk, who gave you the best quarterback play you've seen in how long? Baker Mayfield was playing really good in 2020, but Joe last year was something. So
Yeah.
the Browns, they're an interesting team. I can see them making the playoffs, but are they going to be the typical Browns we know and love?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Let me see. Dre says Huntley can keep us at 500 if something drastic was to happen. Knock on wood. I got you. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and leave it there for the question segment in this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you all so much for coming out to this episode. If you're part of the replay gang, hello. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the episode. Make sure you like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel as well. My name is Sutton Def. That is Simply as 10. And with that being said, I'm going to let Simply as 10 take us out.
Yes, thank you for coming through to episode 251 of the Purple Rain podcast. Appreciate everybody commenting, liking, viewing on whatever platform you're on, and for the replay gang as well. Thank you. But like I said, hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe, and as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yeah, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 251 of the Purple Rain podcast. We're going to catch you guys in the next one.